A function is a set of JavaScript statements that are executed with a call to the function name. So you define a set of statements and give it a name, and then that is called a function. We use functions to divide up a complicated program and divide it into logical blocks of statements that are meaningful, and that makes the program easier to understand and to maintain. It's also used to combine statements that are used many times. So if a function can be written once, then we can call it multiple times to execute that same code, and if for some reason that code needs to change, then we also only have to change it once. You have been using the functions that are defined by the processing.js. For example, ellipse, rect, line, stroke, all of those are JavaScript functions that we as users of JavaScript and the library can call as many times as we want. Notice that the functions are defined, but they're not executed. They're only executed when we call them. Otherwise, we'd have every type of thing written all over our canvas before we even started, right? So the definition does not cause it to execute, only the calling of the name. Some JavaScript functions that we've been using: prompt, alert, number, string. Well, we want to take it a step further now and define our own functions. So what if we wanted to have a function called calculate price with tax, and we put that in a block where we can set the price and the tax and then alert what the price is with the tax. When this code is executed, the function is defined. However, the statements in the function are not executed. Let's give that a try. Okay, here's our JavaScript runner. And if I run this, it didn't actually do the alert because we didn't actually execute this code. We just took this code and defined it, gave it a nickname of calculate price with tax. So if we want to execute these 3 lines of code, we call calculate price with tax, and then it knows that that will be what will be executed. So this particular function doesn't have any parameters. You remember ellipse has 4 parameters: the x, y positions, and then the width and height. But this one doesn't have any parameters, so if we run, now this is the line of code that caused this code to execute. We called the function, and that made the code in the function execute. There is an alternative way to define functions, and we're going to use the var. Notice the difference here. We're saying create a variable with the name of calculate price with tax and assign that this function. Well, you can also do it by just saying it's a function and then giving its name, but we're going to just stick to one pattern so we can keep it simplified. But if you ever see that, that is a valid way to write the function. So we have this function, and all it can do is tell us what the total is for something that costs $10 with 5.5% tax. Well, that's not very useful. How many times do you need to run that calculation? How can we make this more usable? Maybe if we could specify the price we want, and maybe we want to keep the tax fixed, we could do that. Or maybe we want to specify both the price and the tax. We can do that by creating function parameters. Functions can have 0 or more parameters. So this one right here has 0 parameters. There's nothing between the parentheses. Here we are taking 2 parameters. One is price and one is tax. Now, variables have type, but the type can change. So unlike other programming languages, you don't have to specify types in here. You just say, I want a function, and the first thing that I pass in is going to be called price, and the second thing that I pass in is going to be called tax. And then when you have your code inside that function, you can use those parameter names to do your calculations or whatever processing you need to do. So now, when we add those parameters, we can call calculate price with tax and pass it in. Here we can pass in the 10 and the 5.5%, and we'll get the same answer. But then we can also pass in maybe 100 and 45. So let's do that quick. So if we put price in here and tax as parameters, we don't need to define those variables inside anymore because we're passing them in. And let's copy these calls in there. And if we run it, there's the first call, same answer we got before. And here's the second call where we're using a $100 item with 4.5% tax, and it shows the total. So now our program, our function, is reusable. We can use it for many different prices and taxes.